fucked up. Oh, man. Smoke one. Man, I'm ready to get high. Let's get high. Let's get high.
Well, there you go. There's something else. All right, we're here. We're live. We're doing it. We tried it on the roof, but it was too damn windy. It was crazy going up there, too. I would like to go back up there and blaze one another time, definitely. So we've gotten it back down into the vehicle. You know how we do. We're doing blazing blunts, and we are here with Kayvan Khatlabari, right?
Yeah, Khatlabari.
Did I get it right?
Khatlabari.
Now, do you say it how you would normally say it?
Khatlabari.
Órale, see? And you know who's in the back. We got Roger.
Roger. Rick Bryan up in the front.
Yeah. How you doing today, man?
Doing pretty well. Another work day. I'm 7 days on, 0 days off work schedule.
Yeah, you're a busy man.
But it's okay. Yeah.
It's paying off though, isn't it?
Don't mind being busy. You know, my work is it's my work, but it's also my social time. It's my creative outlet. It's everything I got in life. So
You do a bunch. You have Sexy Pizza, Denver Relief Consulting.
that's my primary focus now.
What's the Denver? Okay, what is that? The consulting.
Denver Relief Consulting it started a couple years ago when we were helping folks when the regs were coming on board here in Colorado, getting compliant before the investigators came through.
Okay.
But it grew into this national consultancy firm where now we're helping folks in 14 different states, Washington, D.C., Canada, working with a gentleman in Uruguay. We have some ancillary opportunities in Germany and UK that we're working on,
Nice.
talking to people in Australia, but whole gamut, dealing with application processes, helping folks become operators, taking existing operators and auditing their business for compliance or
Oh wow! Yeah, you stepped it up.
yeah,
Next level.
methodologies, and then getting involved in just really every facet of the industry, all the ancillary pieces, and the governmental side and the policy side, and just trying to be full-scale cannabis in every way we can imagine.
Worldwide, huh?
Yeah.
That is badass, man. Because how long you been at it right now?
I've been doing cannabis advocacy here in Colorado for about a decade now.
About a
Ever
decade.
since I moved out here, started with Safer and Sensible Colorado, the folks
Okay.
that really pushed Amendment 64 across the line. I was one of the first 3 or 4 volunteers for Safer down here in Denver when they started, and it was through those people that I met the folks I started Sexy Pizza with and Denver Relief and all that. So I
Nice.
owe a lot to the activism and the advocacy, and I consider it an obligation to keep it going.
So you're definitely a ground floor player. You've been in this from the gate.
Longer than most. You know, I try not to say it by bragging, but it's true. I've been doing it as long as most people have out here in the environment that we have today. Anyways, there's obviously been a lot of underground growers and activists that have been in Colorado doing it a lot longer than I have. But as far as what we're looking at today, I like to think I was on the ground floor of this building of a regulated industry.
Yeah. So 10 years now.
Yeah, about 10 years. I've been out in Denver for a little over 10 years, and it was shortly after my move that I got involved with Safer and started volunteering. Did that for 5 years before I even touched the business side of it.
Nice. And you're coming from where?
Lincoln, Nebraska.
Lincoln, Nebraska.
Yeah, not liked by a lot of Coloradans out here.
Do your thing. I said, do your thing.
You know,
And
there's a
what
reason I
brought
live
you
out
out
here.
10 years ago, though?
I got my degree in architectural engineering when I was 19,
Okay.
and I got a job with an engineering firm back in Lincoln, and they transferred me a week after I turned 21 to the Denver office to help get that started. And I started as a draftsperson with the firm, ended up as an associate with the firm, but couldn't live there any longer. I was getting paid very well. I had a short work week. I was doing very well at it, but I was in an
Yeah, I couldn't handle that either.
interior. Outside of that, though, interior gray cubicle, people that were dead inside.
I understand.
You know, just it was soul crushing. I was 25 pounds heavier than I am now. I was almost married to a woman I had no business getting married to. Living
Dodging
with her.
bullets.
Yeah, living with her, and just it wasn't my life. It wasn't what I wanted my life to be, and I said fuck it. And me and the lady broke up. She moved out of my house. I bought Sexy Pizza, or started Sexy Pizza. Quit the engineering job.
What drove you that way with the Sexy Pizza?
The assistant director for Safer at the time, like Mason Tavert's right-hand guy, and their only employee at Safer were 2 good buddies of mine, and they were from Huntington, New York, Long Island, and always wanted to open a pizzeria and name it Sexy Pizza, just to garner curiosity. And I said, all right, you guys are kind of idiots, and that's okay. You're passionate, so let's see what we can do.
Nice.
And I pretty much emptied all of my savings and ruined my credit starting this pizzeria. None of us had ever owned a restaurant or operated one, even made pizza in our life. But
So you were doing you were doing damn good, and then you invested everything into this, and it wasn't paying off? Or
I wouldn't. It took us a while to get used to it. We kept the name of the place we bought, Pizza Vera, for 6 months.
Okay.
And we fucked up under their name.
Okay. Very good.
Well played.
And then once we felt we had a good menu and we knew what we wanted to do with the interior of the space, and we had good people hired, we remodeled and changed the name, and the rest is history. It's now been 6.5 years.
You have
Nice.
3
6.5
locations
years.
now, right?
Yep, we got Jefferson Park just opened this year, this spring. We had South Pearl open 2.5 years ago, and Cap Hill 6.5 years ago.
Are you planning to expand anymore?
Yeah, eventually, but just with everything that happened this year with just the cannabis movement, what I'm doing in consulting, Sexpot Comedy kind of taken over. Honestly, all of my businesses they were the ideas of other people that were more passionate about them than I were. So Sexy Pizza was my buddies with Safer.
Okay.
Denver Relief, it was a growing partner, growing buddy that I knew, and he was.
So you just back in place.
Birdie Magazine was our artists that were here that wanted to do it and wanted some business advisory assistance. There was Sexpot Comedy was something that I started, but it really was born out of Jake Brown, Jake Becker, and Zach Moss.
Okay.
Really talking about wanting to get into the comedy scene, but not necessarily feeling, comfortable just jumping into it. So I said, fuck it. And I created an event on Facebook.
It's Birdie Magazine.
Created an event on Facebook for my South Pearl location, and just put them on there as stand-ups.
Yeah.
And they were hesitant to do it, but ended up doing it, and that's really how Sexpot was born. It was them and the Too Much Fun guys were our first.
So you gave them a little bit of a push. So they
Maybe
have
that
you
little
to
bit.
thank a little bit for something.
I wouldn't go
they're
that far.
doing,
They were pushing me just as much.
That's nice.
And as soon as they got that opportunity, they took over. I mean, Jake is phenomenally intelligent and just how he.
Oh, yeah. No, I
manages
know
the
about Jake.
creativity.
Yeah.
They
I know
do
about those
comics for
guys.
civility now, or whatever.
Still
they
trying to get
call
on
it.
that, Zach, because I'm gonna be out of town. Got to get me back on.
And Zach with his unique take on stand up, and then just Jake Becker with his youthfulness. They're a great team.
Yeah, me and Jake hosted the first hour of the High Plains open mic,
Yep.
and it was a whole bunch of fun weirdness. Me and him together.
Yeah, they're great guys. I mean, I consider really the people that got me involved in comedy here in Denver were those three, the Too Much Fun gents and Matt Monroe with Propaganda.
Nice.
Matt Monroe and Sam and Nate and Chris and Bobby came to me 2 years ago, a little over 2 years ago, and asked if I would sponsor their shows.
Yeah.
And that was something that we had thought about doing for a while, but didn't know really how to get involved in the comedy scene. And we had just done a Westward ad. We had put a quarter page in for Sexy Pizza, put a coupon in it, and out of their 80,000 distribution, I think we had like 3 or 4 coupons come back.
That's insane.
And I was like, there's got to be a better way to spend money.
And the Westward is crazy expensive just for a little quarter page.
Exactly. So you're spending like $1,200, $1,500 a week for this coupon that's not paying any dividends. I was like, man, how many shows could that sponsor?
Yeah.
And then, once we started sponsoring Too Much Fun and Propaganda and the Whiskey and Cigarettes podcast and all that, you start to get this visibility, and you start to, see that there's a benefit, and you're getting that exposure to people that live in the neighborhoods where you're doing business, as opposed to westward going to Boulder or wherever.
Right.
And it's people that I think this scene appreciates local businesses supporting the arts like we do, and like Illegal Pete's does, and like City
I
of the
know
City
us
does.
as comedians appreciate
Yeah.
y'all supporting the arts like you are doing. And you said Denver Relief, you really don't advertise too much. We were talking about that earlier.
Yeah, Denver Relief, Sexy Pizza, we don't advertise at all.
Just word of mouth.
It's through word of mouth. It's through these comedy sponsorships. It's, Birdie's probably the only printed advertising we do. And we think that that's better. It grows businesses more slowly, but it grows stronger.
Stronger,
bases.
yeah, definitely.
People that are more loyal.
Yeah.
And, we were talking earlier about places that have a revolving door of, dispensaries that are just in and out all day and don't take the time to
No
actually talk
love,
with
man. You
people.
lose the love. You lose that connection like we had. Yeah.
People sometimes complain about our wait times at Denver Relief, but it's because we're taking too long with somebody answering all their questions and getting it out. So
Yeah.
we're growing. We're going to be remodeling in there pretty soon. It's going to increase our capacity. We just hired 5 people over the last 2 weeks.
Nice.
So we're getting more efficient ourselves.
Nice. Very nice. And we have Merrill mayoral. Am I saying that right? Mayoral?
Mayoral.
Whatever, something like that. He's running for mayor, I think.
We'll put it up right now. We can
You're
spell
going to be running for mayor? Is that correct?
Yeah, mayor of Denver. It started.
Mayor of
Andy Jewett and I, my partner in Sexpot, had
That's my wife.
we had thought about a way to gain exposure for Sexpot, while also contributing to what I wanted to get the word out on, which is cannabis in general. We have Governor Hickenlooper. We'll see if he's governor still next Tuesday. But Governor Hickenlooper and Mayor Hancock of Denver, they're both very opposed to cannabis, and they've seen right in front of their eyes it do so much good with taking crime down in Denver 50%. Driving fatalities are down, violent crime is down in Denver. Teen use is down in Colorado 2 of the last 3 years. It stayed steady last year. Every state that has cannabis legal right now in any capacity has seen opiate overdoses go down. Well, it's gone up in every state that doesn't. We've seen all the tax revenue being generated. We have 850,000 people every year in this country that are arrested for simple cannabis possession. 11 to 15,000 of them in Colorado every year.
That's bullshit.
That's that far fewer people that are in jails that are wasting those law enforcement and incarceration resources. So it's a very important thing, and it's going to be world changing, not only with social and medical use cannabis, but with hemp. And they don't understand the opportunity that's right in front of their eyes. They could be icons, in my opinion, down the road if they embrace this industry and actually helped it move forward in a positive direction.
Why do you think they're hesitant?
Well, their politics. Politicians are career politicians, and that's the problem with them. Their survival, their career is determined by their ability to make people happy, not to do the right thing. And that's unfortunate with the career politician.
What people exactly are they making happy?
Let's see.
It's the people that they owe, isn't it?
Take fracking. Why do you think Hickenlooper defends fracking? There's money.
There's money. Why do
you think he
all this
opposes
sponsor stuff?
Cannabis? He's made his money, his fame, and his fortune off of selling alcohol. Right? There's data that's coming out that says people are drinking less if they are consuming cannabis.
I'd rather smoke a blunt and I've been drinking since I was 15.
Center for Disease Control study came out this year. 1 in 10 working age Americans, 21 to 65, die of alcohol-related consumption.
Yeah.
1 in 7 Coloradans. And he thinks that cannabis users need education. What kind of bullshit is that?
You're hearing it. And Hickenlooper, you have a little thing that you're out there doing, dressing up like a chicken.
Yeah, I started doing that
Looper
8 years ago.
8 years now it's been going on?
After the I-100 initiative passed here in Denver, which legalized an ounce or less. Safer did that. Just essentially decriminalized it.
I remember that.
He was mayor of Denver, and arrests actually went up in the state of Colorado that next year. In Denver, they went up. But the reason that was is because 96% or so of the cannabis cases in Colorado are held at the state level. Those are in Denver are held at the state level.
Okay.
So even though it was legal in this county, in this city, it wasn't legal on the state level, so they didn't recognize it. But he had that opportunity as mayor to say, hey, this is what the voters want. They overwhelmingly approved of it. Let's ease up a little bit. If people are being
Isn't
egregious.
That how it's supposed to go? I mean,
if they're smoking in people's
by the
faces and by kids and by that I get. Fine, give them a ticket. Do whatever you were going to do.
Right.
But if somebody's choosing to have cannabis in their own home and not use it outside their home, even to way back when it was still pretty scary to a lot of people, if you could just allow that to happen.
You're right though. People are scared, man.
He could have helped the process happen a lot quicker, which I understand his hesitation and to want to slow it down because there are a lot of unknowns.
Nobody ever wants to be the first guy neither.
This is
because it's usually when the first guy does something and everybody's like, all right, let's step back and see what happens with him. And usually the first guy that gets punished is what happens with that. I understand why people are hesitant to rock the boat. Because if nobody else has your back when that boat's rocking, you'll sink.
Sure.
They'll take you down.
But I also understand, think of where Hickenlooper came from. And granted, that wasn't what he was doing was federally legal at the time. He started, I believe, the second microbrew in the state of Colorado. That's what Wine Coop was. So he was in a very similar situation. They were heavily regulated back then. It was new. People didn't know what to think about this.
He wants okay.
So he's just being a hypocrite. That's really what it comes down to. I wouldn't have an issue with him having an opinion against cannabis. There's nothing wrong with that. Everybody's entitled to that opinion. It's the fact that he is so hypocritical with it, that he has such a disdain, that he's so emotional and just vehemently against cannabis in public.
Where's all this shit with the tobacco, with cigarettes? Why hasn't politicians been crazy over cigarettes? I mean, we know that's just killing the shit out of people. Why is this
The lobby.
so
the
damn?
lobby money.
Yeah, it's money. It's
Alcohol and
okay.
tobacco. It's all in the lobbying. You know, lobbying is very instrumental in pretty much everything in this country. It dictates most of the decisions that are made. Which is
So marijuana's got to start kicking money towards these fucks.
And it is. It's building up. There's some state groups that do a lot with lobbying and spend a lot of money doing it. Not nearly what these tobacco or alcohol companies are, but it's getting there. And the National Cannabis Industry Association, my partner Ian is chairman of the board. I sit on the board at the Illinois Cannabis Industry Association. You know, so we have active fronts where we're moving on this. We've participated in lobby days in Washington D.C.
Nice.
2 of the last 3 years, where we go and meet with members of the House and Senate. Picked up some co-sponsors, and you know they're listening. It's good. We have an opportunity. We just need to act professional and not, you know, be the stereotype, I guess, is what people are looking to avoid.
No, man, I don't want to get high and just no. This is sort of why when me and Roger first started doing this, that was my angle. I was like, well, let's actually smoke one with somebody and have a conversation. You know, as you sit here and smoke, you don't go retarded. I mean, marijuana has been given a bad rap. I mean, some people can't handle this shit though. Like I've seen people, you know, freak out. You know, it's a chemical
Same thing
balance.
with alcohol.
Anything, yeah. You know, you get that one chick, I love to party. The one drink later, she passed out on the floor. Like, what the hell happened here? Yeah, same thing with the marijuana. I'm seeing that. But in general, man, I mean, people who do partake in marijuana on a daily basis or whatever, they're not crazy idiots like they're being portrayed in all the movies, in the media, and that's why I said, let's do this. Let's sit down, just talk to people, have intelligent conversations, blaze a blunt.
That's what made me feel comfortable about stepping out and really seeing, by working with Safer and Sensible Colorado, the professional people that use cannabis every day.
Right, and they're handling their business.
The only reason that stereotype exists is because the only people that felt comfortable coming out about it were the ones that were overly proud. You know, they were they were part of that culture. But that culture wasn't sophisticated yet, and not that it's not perfect or that it's perfect now, but you know, I think that seeing a housewife and a politician and a doctor and
right,
a lawyer
mom's
and
looking her
accountant,
mind with the kids. She's
and
got
they're all
to take
using,
a toke.
and they always have used.
Yeah.
You know, that's the thing that people need to get. It's that this isn't new.
Oh, hell no.
The same amount of people smoke cannabis, maybe a few more because it's legal.
Right.
It's not like crazy new people are just starting to use cannabis for the first time.
No, we've been doing it. Now we're like, whatever, you guys gonna let us, we're gonna do it.
Yeah, people are just very much more open about it. They're out of the closet. It's funny seeing cannabis legalization and gay rights really ride in parallel and just like keep knocking off states.
Yeah.
At the same time, it's great.
Give the people what they want,
It's
man.
nuts. I have a number of friends who are much more open about their cannabis use with their children. And their children, quite honestly, have no interest in marijuana.
They're not like, what is that? Oh, what? I can't do that? Oh, I want to do that. It's not like that. I showed my kids my red card. I said, this is a doctor's permission for using these prescribed drugs. I have to go in, they prescribed it, I have to buy it. If you don't have a doctor's note, you don't use it. Just like the pills. People are, you know, overdosing on pills and everything else. The only thing that's getting crazy are the edibles and the dabs. Like, this is a problem that had never existed before. How do you feel about that?
So the state for edibles recommended 10 milligrams as a standard dose, right? Do you know who Maureen Dowd is? She wrote the New York Times article about overdosing. And overdosing.
Excuse me.
She had a time in her in her hotel room.
Yes, and she ate the whole thing. And all I can say about that is think about buying a 175 of vodka and saying, just because this is in one package,
you drink the whole
I
bottle.
should drink this whole thing.
Right,
you know, it's ignorance on her part. It's lacking in common sense. But that doesn't mean people aren't going to do it, because unfortunately a lot of people lack common sense. And you got to protect those people. So the state recommended 10 milligrams per dose, no more than 100 milligrams in a package for on the recreational side. Medical still has very few limitations. But we're recommending, I'm a founding council member of the Council to Regulate Cannabis Responsibly. And it started by Steve Fox, who was the guy that started SAFER, the guy that ran Amendment 64 here in Colorado. And it's made of responsible business owners all over the country who are in this industry, who advocate for professional regulation, period. So we're actually advocating for 5 milligrams. per dose as people to start with.
Right.
You don't know where you're
Baby
going.
steps, people.
Baby steps. You can always eat more. You can't take it out.
Yeah, I know.
Especially with
if
cannabis.
You're gonna go on a ride.
Throwing up might not do much. It's coursing.
It's in there. Yeah, I know.
So it happens, and people do freak out. So 5 milligrams we think is better. We're actually more strict and conservative than the state. So I think that's going to be our policy.
You know, though, your experience. See, that's the problem. I think some of these people come from fucking left field. Well, I heard this. That's how that whole, reefer madness happened. People are retarded and it runs rampant. But now we're more educated. We're not just listening to the older folks tell us what to do. We're educated because we can click the button. I mean, you pick up a phone or whatever and you have any answer you're looking for. Everybody's communicating with everybody now. And that helps because we are more educated. Like, you're coming from an educated level. Why? Not because you picked this shit up once it started becoming legal. You knew what the hell you were working with
every day for 16 years.
Yeah, see? Yeah. I'm feeling you, man. I'm on like 20. I had to take a break because of the state. How do you feel about the dabs, the whole...
From an image standpoint, they're bad. They're awful for an industry that's so young that's trying to gain respect.
Right, I feel like they just said, okay, we'll let you guys get high. And they're like, oh, hell yeah, check it out. Like, whoa, what the fuck is this? Where did this... I've been doing this for 20 years, and this is not ever... Where did you find this? You know, all this... Do you know where this originated? With the hash, the dabbing just came out of... I mean, it came out of nowhere. Quick.
No, I mean, it did come on. I remember selling grams of stuff that we didn't even make that looked awful, but that's all the market had back. This is like 5 years ago. Maybe. Yeah. And it was just garbage, but it would sell for $80-$90 a gram.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. I remember we going up into these places. What the fuck?
And just the worst part of the image was the open blasting. When people were still doing that, and for a medical center, people were doing open blasting.
What is the open blasting?
Just putting it in a tube and letting that butane fly, and not paying attention to what kind of butane you're using to do the extraction. A lot of the cheaper butanes have perfumes and whatnot, so you can smell if it's leaking, and they're fillers and shit like that.
Okay.
So that's just awful for the image because you'd have these house explosions.
It looks like they're cracking out
in a tiny bathroom with no ventilation, and then you fucking start smoking a cigarette while you're open blasting butane. Again, be smart, you know.
Yeah, don't be dumb.
Don't build up different gases in a room. Right. Always ventilate air.
Now, in the regulated market, this just happened this summer. We have to have a fireproof enclosure, a fire-rated enclosure, 2 hours. We have a blast-proof cabinet. Fireproof cabinet with downdraft ventilation.
So, like, if something happens, it's all contained right there,
exactly.
And then everything's
got fire suppression built in.
Very
downdraft that filters all the volatile organic compounds.
So you're set up for the worst case scenario while making this stuff.
That's good. See, precautions are being took if it's at a professional level. But if Billy Bob and his goddamn cousin are in the bathtub, boom, they're gonna blow the shit up.
I'm happy being a medium small business. And
yeah, but it sounds like you're a big-minded dude, man. I don't think you can keep it that small.
You need a lot of tentacles, though. That's why it's great getting excited about one thing, but I can never do one thing for too long. That's where the
it doesn't sound like it. Yeah, that's a little conversation we've had. I heard a couple of journeys you've been on. Is there anything you're trying to get out there right now and let people know about?
Well, Sexpotcomedy.com, the website.
Sexpotcomedy.com
was released Halloween night. Or Halloween Day.
Okay.
And it's the hub of Denver comedy and beyond. It's not all inclusive. Obviously, there's so many great talents and shows in this town.
Nice.
And I think we're going to start to do some shows and some one-offs and whatnot in LA, New York, and Chicago.
Oh, awesome! Hell yeah!
Seattle.
See, you ain't small, man. You're gonna keep growing. You're big, dude.
But about growing medium businesses and letting them synergize, and collaborate. Pot. Pizza, comedy. I mean, they kind of
all come together.
They work together well, and then just the arts in general. And Birdie Magazine. It's a casual life.
You can pick it up everywhere too. It's one of our favorite magazines to watch.
That's Birdie Magazine.
That's great. I love it. Those Michael King and Christy Thacker and Johnny DeStefano and Malcolm Dupree are the folks that do it up. So they're awesome.
Yeah.
A lot of just so many great artists in there that it's all content provided from the masses, from whoever sends in content. I think there's
get your shit out there. Hit
10
up
times
Birdie
too many
Magazine.
submissions.
Get your shit out there.
Then can get put in an issue. It's ridiculous.
It's hard, but that just means it's popular and people are reading it, wanting to be part of it.
They like what you do, man.
Very proud of it.
I've known these comics, 6.5 years just doing this, and everybody that I've heard come in contact to you has nothing but nice things to say. Nothing but nice things.
I try to be good to people.
So you running for mayor, man. This is the coolest dude I've met so far. I mean, that's cool. Everybody else I've met sort of been douches.
Appreciate it.
In that area. So I think you're gonna rock the boat, man. Definitely. I mean, you got people's attention.
I can be very neutral, or I can go the other route. So,
I know. I
appreciate it.
Perfect. I think that's all I have. For you.
Thank you much, man.
I really appreciate you meeting with us. Yeah, this is
Yeah.
cool, man. Sitting down.
Good to see you guys.
Hey, you too.
Yeah.
All right, man. It's Blazin' Blunts. Has fun. Been with Kayvan Khatlabari.
Khatlabari.
I'd say it again.
Khatlabari.
Khatlabari.
My throat's a
Kayvan, ladies and gentlemen. Roger Norquist. I'm Rick Bryan. Blazin' Blunts.
Good night.
Thanks, man.
Let's get high, smoke one. Let's get high, high. Tell me what you waiting for, go on and fire up. I'll be smoking so much chronic.